Good day, everyone. Welcome back to the Doc of Detox show. Today's very special guest is Dr. Marlene Siegel. Dr. Marlene Siegel is an extraordinary veterinarian. Let me tell you something. And when I say extraordinary, I mean extraordinary, okay? She opened her existing small animal and exotic practice in 1987, just a few years ago. She strives to not only heal animals, but to educate her clients on the best options available for her pets, otherwise her dear, dear family. Now, understand something. You know what? It's one thing to say that that person's a really good veterinarian, and there's one thing to say that that veterinarian is holistic and does everything in balance with nature. But then there's another thing to say that that veterinarian is in harmony with nature, and she's got the biggest heart of all, and she takes a loving stand for pets. And understand something, I'm going to tell you right now, we are so far off the marker with pets. I want to tell you something. Pets have spirits. We have spirits, okay? They were created by God. We were created by God. And I don't really believe that we treat pets like we should. I want to know how in the heck food industries that make food for pets get away with what they do in poisoning pets. I mean, I can understand, that human beings, they have no trouble eating commercialized food, GMOs, chemicals and poisons. I mean, we have a brain and we get to choose it. We get to pay for it. We go ahead and eat it. But the reality is who's really protecting the pets? Who's protecting the cats? Who's protecting the gerbils, the dogs, and all the other things that we bring home and we love so much? And then we get sold this bill of goods that actually poisons them. Like, think about it. Would you eat chips every day? Would you eat cheesies every day? Well, that's what you're doing when you feed your dog or your cat kibble, or when you take something that is in a can and it goes blop into the dish. I mean, what would we do that for? So the reality is that we really, truly need to wake up. And today I'm going to have Dr. Marlene Siegel talk about her food. And understand, why am I going to have her talk about her food? Because your pets deserve it. And if you don't want to buy your food from Dr. Marlene Siegel, you better find out how she makes her food, what's in her food, and then you better look for that food. Because if you truly love your pets, then you're not going to feed them things. You know what? I've got somebody, I'm going to bring her on in a second, but I'm going to tell you something. I've got just even yesterday, okay, her name is Laura. She comes to us, okay. One dog's got a tumor on her paw. The other dog she had to put down because the cancer was so bad. I mean, there's 2 cancers here, all right? And I see this all the time. I'll tell you right now, how do people even live with themselves when dogs have more cancer than any other species on this planet, and we call them our best friends? Dr. Marlene Siegel, can you please answer that question?
I think it's ignorance. It's really people not understanding. We've been raised in a world where it's fast, cheap, and convenient, and we think that we're feeding them food. It's really food-shaped objects. We're both friends with Jeffrey Smith, and that's what he calls it. I call it Frankenfood. But it's really just growing up in a society where we're not ever taught anything differently. And veterinarians are taught the same thing. We were going through veterinary school, and our education was from the big box companies telling us this is what healthy food is. And we've done the research and we've done the science behind it. And we've developed these products so that we have a diet for every disease. And it wasn't until about 20 years ago when my awakening happened. And I started looking at that and going, no, that's a problem. That's not really the answer. That's really just feeding the problem. And it's really sad because I see a lot of referral centers where their intention is really to do good for the pets, but they send them home with diets that still have high fructose corn syrup in it, or genetically modified corn. I mean, if you read the labels, most of these big box companies, that's still what they have in their diets, in their prescription diets, is genetically modified corn.
And what they have a prescription for death. And that's what they have. And I'm allowed to say that because this is my show. And you can't walk into a pet store without seeing 90%, 95% of all the products in there that are overpriced. And all it is just processed grains and GMOs and they're telling you that it's got everything in it. It's like, you know what? It's like the one a day commercial when you grab the one a day or you grab the gummy and you think everything's in there. Well, you better find out who's actually making this food, and it's not food. This is Frankenfood. Now, Marlene, Dr. Marlene, listen, you say to me that don't even think of getting a pet unless you're willing to give unconditionally without expecting anything in return. What do you mean by that? Why did you say that?
No, well, what we were talking about was what do pets teach us?
Oh,
And
okay.
so we're going to reverse that. And the first thing that pets teach
Yep.
us is really how to give unconditionally. They
Right.
show up without expecting anything in return. They're happy when you come home. They're happy when you feed them. They don't hold anything against you if you don't feed them right away. They really are the model of unconditional love. They give because it is the right thing to do. And if we really wanted to understand what unconditional love was, we would just model that after our pets. So it's amazing. There's no way to express that other than to see that when you give from your heart without expecting anything in return, which very few people do, usually you give and you're expecting to receive something back. It's almost like we have a scorecard and we're keeping track of our scorecard to see what is it that I have dinged up so that I can expect something in return. And when we don't get that, we get disappointed. Or our dogs and our furry friends, they don't do that.
Well,
Now, cats may take a message and get back to you, but our dogs, they give unconditional love.
well, there it is. And you know, you know what I've been going on about for probably the last 25 years. I've been going on about unconditional love. You need to learn how to unconditionally love yourself so you can learn to unconditionally love others. And that's what pets teach us is they teach us that unconditional love. And that's why we love them so much. But meanwhile, a lot of people get really tired with people because people always set up, like you said, set up conditions. You love me, I'll love you. And thank God our pets don't do that to us, right?
Well, we do that with children as well. When we first have our babies, it is unconditional love because they're helpless and they can't do anything for themselves. So we give them everything. But as they get older and they start to have some personality challenges and they start to be a little defiant and we start to have some challenges with them, it's a shame, but we get very conditional with them. So that's just one example of the things that pets can teach us. Where we're going to do the whole show on all the things that pets actually gift us with if we were to pay attention. And that was the first thing is how to give unconditional love.
Well, good. I
Am I
hope
good the second
I hope that the animals create a love revolution.
one? I think they are. So you want to go to the second one?
Live in the moment.
Live in the moment.
The only thing you can really enjoy and affect is the present moment.
But people don't do that. So the average person is still thinking about the things in their past, things that went wrong, things that shoulda, coulda, woulda. And then if they don't live in their past, they're living in their future. When I achieve more money, when I get the job I want, when I graduate from school, when I meet the right people. And so everything is conditional based on either something in their past that they haven't let go of or something in their future that hasn't happened yet, but they're basing their happiness on that thing in the future. And what dogs teach us is just live in the moment. There isn't anything else but the moment. The past is the past, the future hasn't happened yet. So you create in the moment your happiness.
Yeah, that's actually the only place that joy can even happen, and that's actually the only place that healing can take place. And
Mhm.
we know that sickness doesn't take place in the present moment. It actually takes place in the past or in the future. So, yeah, there you go. And that's something we always talk about. We always tell people that there's only power in the present. All right.
So I'm hoping that our listeners are going to actually write these down because if they can incorporate this into their lifestyle, where every day when you get up, you have these, I think we have 11 or 12 bullet points. And if you can take a moment to focus on those and create that intention for your day, I promise you, you will have such a different outlook on life and you're going to have such a different experience in life. So let's go to number three.
Number three, overcome fear with love.
So there's a lot of examples of animals that have been abused and they're in shelters and they get adopted to a new home and they're cowering and they're fearful. And when those animals go into a loving home, unconditional love, and they're treated kindly and they're shown that there is respect and respect for their space and they're allowed to start coming into their own, most of those animals will come around and be amazing pets, have confidence and feel good and be able to give back that unconditional love. So we have a tendency to live in fear, and that's what most people do, as a matter of fact, is their life is governed by fear. And for me, fear is the future events that appear real, but they haven't even happened yet. So I choose not to use fear. I use love, which is letting out voluminous amounts of energy, and that's my mantra. And with animals, they show us that when we give love, we can overcome any fear.
Good. And that would be moving forward without judgment, because as soon as we create judgment there, so that would be, allowing things to flow and not be premature in our judging things, right?
That, and it's also about learning to love ourselves. So that overcoming fear with love is not just loving others, but it's loving the authentic you, who you are. And that's not all the BS, all the layers, all the crud that's been piled on, all the things people have told you about yourself. It's that divine, authentic, real you that's underneath there. And when you can shed all the other belief systems about what people have told you, taught you, or made you experience, when you can get rid of that and you're down to that authentic you that you can actually love, it's not even beyond amazing. It's miraculous.
Yeah, and you've got to be willing to work for it. You've got to be willing to let yourself off the hook very quickly,
Yeah.
and you cannot judge harshly. And understand something: if you find yourself judging everyone else, then you know that you've been judging yourself on a subconscious level much more than you judged anybody, because you can't give what you're not. You're going to give
Yeah.
what you are.
And you're also reflecting in the moment what you are as well.
Yeah.
So you're either reflecting what you are or you're reflecting what you judge in the moment. So it's an opportunity to stop and actually go, oh, so what is that about? What am I really experiencing and feeling? And is it that I'm experiencing it so I have the opportunity to shift it, to let it go, to heal it? For me, it's contrast. And contrast to me is what I learn from. So if it's as important to experience what you do want as what you don't want, because if you experience what you don't want, then you have an opportunity to really focus in on what you do want. So I think it's easy.
Absolutely. And you just don't want to spend a lot of time focusing on what you don't want, which a lot of people get caught, like the wheel got caught in that little
Yeah.
hole, and you keep on spinning it. So we need to focus on what we do want, because what we put out there, it's like
Right.
a lot of people say, I don't get what I want. Well, you've got to focus on it and got to believe that it's on its way and just be at peace with that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we live that every day. So I'll give you a little side story. So we built our event center and we have a commercial commissary. And the thing missing in the commercial commissary is a chef. So for the past 6 months, I've been thinking, I'm going to manifest me the best chef ever. And Tuesday night, I went to a veterinary meeting and I had a drug rep in town. So we went to the meeting a little early. And because we were early, we had an opportunity to walk around this downtown area. And as we're walking around, we saw this culinary shop, and we're both foodies. So we went into the culinary shop. And as we made our way to the back of the shop, there was this huge kitchen area. So we walk into the kitchen area, and I realized this is a teaching school in the back of this business. It was really awesome. And then this chef walks out, and we introduce each other. And I told him what I was looking for, and kind of described that. And he goes, "Oh my gosh, that's like what I've been looking for." And as our conversation went on, we exchanged business cards. He came up and he looked at the commissary. We talked a little bit more about my vision, his vision, and where our hearts are at. And we were so utterly aligned. And because of that whole serendipitous experience, we went early to an event. I've never done early on a Tuesday. We were done early. We went down to this event. and my drug rep wasn't supposed to be there with me, but he was, and because he was, and he was from California, I wanted to show him around downtown a little bit, and all those little pieces came together because my heart was open, and I just literally set it out there, and I said the right person's going to come around at the right time. And then when I did meet the right person, I was open, and he was too. And so we now have our own chef to actually do events with, and we are just rocking our community. So it's just an example of how when you set your intention and you give without expecting to receive, you live in the moment, and you do the first four principles that we just talked about, live without fear, then miraculous things happen to you.
So then we've got to be fearless.
Fearless,
That's
moving
right.
in love, letting out that voluminous energy. I love it.
All right.
So
So
let's
now,
let's go on to the next one.
number 4,
Yes.
don't hold grudges.
So, grudges are an interesting thing. With animals, they can you can yell at them. Some people, unfortunately, you should never do this, but people have spanked or hit their dogs, and yet you come home and they still love you. You can not feed them and they still love you, and they just have this ability to forget what you did 5 minutes ago, and they just give you that unconditional love all over again. They just live in that moment. They're happy to see you, and whatever you did, it's forgiven. So what if we were able to do that? What if we were able to say, instead of judging somebody and holding those grudges as if they did something to you, nobody can do anything to you unless you allow it. So dogs just don't allow it to become personal to them. Now, I think if you hit a dog enough, they're going to either bite you back. They're not holding a grudge, they're just going to protect themselves. But they don't hold a grudge against that person. They just may choose not to be around them. They may choose to fight back. It's not the same thing. Holding a grudge is when you just can't give forgiveness. And there's so many people in the world that hold those grudges, and the only thing they hurt is themselves. It's not hurting anybody but you. So as we enter this holiday season, I wish for everybody out there that's holding a grudge to forgive the other person that is not allowing them the ability to hurt you again, that is not saying what their behavior was okay. It's just saying that you choose not to take it upon yourself to own that. That's their problem. They did it. You get to choose your response to that, just like the dogs do.
Absolutely. You hold a grudge, you're the one that takes the poison pill. So,
Mm-hmm.
there's people that have held grudges for 10 years with someone. The other person has forgot about it a long time ago. They never ever think about it, and that person ends up with a tumor. The one that
Yeah.
holds the grudge is going to hold a tumor somewhere depending on the emotional belief that's behind it. First, we have the brain inflammation, then from the brain inflammation, then we get the inflammation somewhere else in the body. So,
And you know what's
yeah,
really interesting, Dr. Wolf,
yeah,
is that so many times we create that grudge in our own mind. And if you were to really sit down with the other person and really find out what they meant or intended, you find out that it really wasn't even what you thought it was, but you created this whole to do in your head. I was just working with somebody that constantly did that, would literally make up in his mind he assumed what I was feeling, and then he responded that way. And I kept having to say, no, if you think I'm feeling a certain way, ask me before you react. And that's actually one of my golden rules, is when I'm in relationships with people, I always tell them, before you respond to something, just ask me if it's the way you took it. Because if I didn't mean it that way, but you took it that way, it may be because you have experiences in the past that it triggered something in your past, but it wasn't in my intention or in my desire to have you take it that way. But because of your experiences, you took it that way. And then you responded in the same way that you responded to all the other negative experiences you have, when it wasn't even intended to be that way. So we create in our mind so much drama that doesn't need to be there, when you could just as simply say, hey, you know what? You just dropped a boulder on my head with that comment. Did you mean to hurt me with that? And provided they're honest, most people are. They'll say, no, I really didn't mean it that way. I'm so sorry. And then they can reframe it and say it differently. Or if they're honest, they'll go, yeah, I was really mad, and I was being very childish, and I did something that was not nice, and I apologize or whatever. But it's the important point there is don't hold a grudge, because most of the time you're holding something that isn't even real.
So basically, don't take it personal, and do the Lionheart breathing before you react.
Yeah.
And you probably wouldn't react. You just need to have 1 to 3 seconds break there before your subconscious jumps in and your heart doesn't have a chance to keep you where you need to be.
Pretty easy.
Yeah.
And isn't it amazing how aligned what you teach and what the dogs teach? I think it's pretty special.
Beautiful.
But a lot of people won't listen to you directly, but they will listen through their pet, because people will do things for their pets that they won't do for themselves. Pretty cool.
Yeah, but how about this one? And I've seen this a lot. A lot of people will have a pet, okay? And I think that's a beautiful thing. And because the pet, okay, does not make any judgment, it's unconditional love, they miss the training that it was meant for them to grow so that they could maybe trust again in the human environment. And some will actually go into a shell and only trust the animal and not trust back out. Now I don't trust love with human beings anymore. I just won't do it. And then
Yeah.
I've seen that. I've seen a lot of that.
Yeah, that's sad. And if that resonates with somebody out there, we all wish for you the ability to let that go and live your life to the fullest. It's worth it.
Yeah. Don't put
Which brings us
yourself
to the next fun one.
don't put yourself in the doghouse, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. I like this next one. This is mine.
Okay, so number 5, play every day.
Okay. Yes. Play every day. There was a different one on my sheet, but I love playing every day. And it goes along with the next one as well. But yeah, we get so tied up in our busy days and in all the stress that we're dealing with and all the drama that we're dealing and all the distractions that we're dealing with, especially nowadays with social media and telephones and the computers and all the distractions. We forget to live and play. And play could mean just going outside and doing something fun, whether it's jogging or playing ball or throwing the ball for your pet, or it's doing something inside that's fun for you. But we just got to learn to play every day and not on your technology. Play with others, play with friends, go bowling, play tennis, do sports, but just do something every day in your life that is enjoyable. It fills your tanks, it adds that joy inside your body, and it allows so much stress relief. So play every day.
Yeah, I was talking today, Dr. Siegel, to a health professional, and they were also on there with their family members, and I just said, you know what? Because they have a situation where it's a cancer situation, and I said, everybody on the phone, even this woman who's a health professional, so intense, so intense. Everything is so serious, and I said, look it, I can build this protocol. I know that between the non-surgical work we do, the nutrition, the everything else, just everything we're putting together, we can make headway. But if you don't practice with a slight smile and process through your heart, it doesn't matter what physical program we put together. All right, it's just not going to work, because you know as well as I do that you'll get not patients, but people with pets where the pet is sick and they get depressed. The people that own the pets get very depressed, and that depresses the pet. And in the real world, when people have like a disease that could take their life, they don't realize that their best weapon is happiness, is putting a smile on, is still going out and giving what you got. Whatever you're passionate about, what your purpose is, go out and give that and share that with the world. And I don't care what sickness you have. if you don't need a reason to smile because you have a slight smile on your face already and you're always grateful and looking at the things that you have, then you're going to heal.
Yeah. So, moral of the story, go pick up your ball and go play with it.
That's right.
Take it to somebody who will play back with you, or just throw it against a wall and just enjoy playing. But playing is wonderful. Playing could even be any physical exercise, or enjoying artwork, or enjoying building something in crafts. There's so many wonderful things that people can do that is just so good for the heart and good for the soul and good for gratitude. And it produces your neurochemicals that help to relax your body, put you in a parasympathetic state, and then you're in a state that your body can actually heal. And dogs and cats do it all day long. Even birds, we have birds that just love to play. They just figure out things to do and they have fun doing it.
So be a bird. All right,
Yeah.
number 6, nap often, get quality sleep.
Yes. I am guilty of not sleeping long enough last night. I had company in town and we stayed up too late talking and laughing. We were having fun though. And then I had to get up early this morning for business meetings. And so I really had 4.5 hours of sleep. But I knew that I made my body tired, and it's something that I don't do often. I really have learned to value my sleep. And I don't get the chance to nap during the day, but I do get much more quality sleep at night. I have learned to turn off my emergency phone at midnight. Yes, I did that, and the world did not stop. And I send my emergency calls elsewhere at midnight now. And both Alyssa and I get to have some sleep. And it has been so valuable to my overall well being. My brain is thinking better. I'm much more energetic. I'm much more grounded. And I can now get somewhere between 6 and 7.5 hours of sleep.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I even have a ring and it measures my quality sleep. So I know if I'm in deep sleep versus I'm in REM sleep and how long. And it's made me accountable. And I think that's something that a lot of us don't realize is that when you don't have somebody accountable to yourself, even if it's just to yourself, then you have a tendency to do things that aren't as good for you because there's nobody that you're accountable to, like having a workout partner. You have to keep up and go to the gym because somebody's relying on you. Make yourself your accountability partner. And there's a lot of devices out there that you can use to monitor your activity levels, your sleep levels, and look at your heart rate variability. Great monitor for finding out, are you really able to respond to stress? And when I first started checking it, as healthy as I thought I was, my heart rate variability was 13. That's in the tank, like bad, bad, bad. And I can now get it up into the 40s, which it really should be higher than that. But I was happy to get it up in the 40s from where it was at 13. But I had to make a conscious effort to do that. So, sleep. When you're tired, let your body go to sleep. It's really important. I think there's overwhelming amounts of evidence that if you don't get somewhere between 6 and 7 hours of sleep at minimum, you are not going to be healthy. And what do our animals do? When they're tired, they lay down, they take a cat nap. Now, if you wake them up or they hear you move, they're going to wake up and they're alert again. But they're wonderful at being able to take those little short cat naps, especially cats. They have a light sleep, and that you can rouse them from that by just moving in the house and they're alert. But when they go into deep sleep, my cat, he literally dreams and he's out. He's paddling his legs, and you can tell he is gone.
Beautiful. Number 7, jump for joy when you're happy.
So, how many times are we told to stuff our feelings of joy? But animals don't. When you walk in the house, what does your dog do? They're jumping up and down. They're so happy to see you. And what do? We reach down and well, sometimes people are so distracted when they come in the house, they actually ignore them. That would be kind of sad. So, what you should be doing is getting as excited as they are and being really happy and just jump for joy. It's good exercise, first of all, and it's moving your lymphatics. But aside from that, it just feels good to express your joy, letting it come out, letting it be that energy that moves through you and out. And you're now taking that beautiful joy and you're sending it out into the universe where more people can experience that. It's like a ripple effect. What do you think
Absolutely.
of joy? Do you jump for joy?
I do. And the
I
other
think
thing is I'll tell you, one of the best things you'll ever do is celebrate the small things and look for a reason to celebrate and pat yourself on the back. And this is not selfishness. I'm going to tell you, most people, they spend a lot of their day saying they're not good enough. They didn't do it fast enough. They weren't smart enough, or they're not tall enough, or there's something not enough. And when you
Mhm.
start celebrating that you're enough, you'll be enough.
Oh, that's fantastic. Also, we have a tendency to minimize those beautiful wins. Like we don't really sit there and honor them and experience them and be in the moment with them and just appreciate those little wonderful moments in our life. It may be something as simple as you look out the window and you just really are grateful because it's a beautiful day and the trees are growing. Or with me, I walk out in my garden and I'll eat something out of the garden. This morning, I picked a bunch of spinach and sweet potato leaves, and I made my guest this amazing egg dish. And we had all the herbs out of the garden and cardamom, and we had rosemary. Everything was fresh, and onions, and it was just, it was amazing. Like we were eating this food that we just picked out of the garden. And we're just eating with gratitude and joy. And we put all of our principles together. And it was just that moment where not only were we nourishing our bodies with everything organic and healthy, but we just filled our hearts with this appreciation for that moment, that not only were we eating amazing food that we had just harvested, but that we're enjoying the company of those like-minded people. And it was just wonderful. And I do that every day. There's at least 100 moments in my day that I just stop and appreciate. I don't jump for joy for each one of them, but I do honor them and appreciate them, and I'm conscious of them. And I would encourage people, just take a moment and just say, wow, I'm really glad that I saw that person today, or I got that phone call today, or I got to experience something today that really just made me happy, whatever that is. And then, of course, don't forget to give unconditionally by calling somebody and letting them know, hey, don't need anything. I'm just calling you to tell you I was thinking about you. We should do that 5 times a day. Take 30 seconds and just contact somebody and say, I was thinking about you today. And if that person came into your mind and you were geared towards, you were led to call them, there's probably a reason why you were led to call them, and it's going to be something that you really add to their life. Sending out text messages or emails periodically, hey, just touching base, making sure you're okay. Nothing replaces the phone call and the direct eye to eye. But that touch, that constantly reaching out and letting people know that you care about them, it's priceless.
Yeah, and there was research done, and it showed that the majority of the population spend 2 to 5% of their day actually feeling something like joy. That's it. So
Wow.
the reality is, why don't you play a game with yourself and see how much joy you can create, and if you can turn that around and go at least 95 to 98%. And I'll tell you something right now. It takes work and it takes practice because it's all about repetition, but you can actually build a program within your subconscious because it is what runs the good part of your day. All right. So if you can do that, then what you're going to find is that you're going to be having so much more joy, so much more energy, and so many more beautiful things are going to be happening to you because you're open to it, because you are a magnet.
That is so true. And in the beginning, it may feel awkward and it may feel like you're having to work at it. But once it becomes who you are and not what you do, it's so natural that you'll never go back to being anything else. Like you don't even want to go back to whatever that was. You want to be in the moment that you're in because it is so magnificent.
Yeah, and you know what? The one thing that it comes up all the time, especially with women, well, especially because they want to work on it. Men usually don't want to work on it, but the reality is, and I mean this, and I when I say this, I know I'm not off by much. 80% of the women that I consult, and I do a lot of consultations, by the time we get into about 20 minutes of it, I'll say to them, at the beginning, do you love yourself? Oh, yeah, of course I do. And then about in 20 minutes, by doing the right questions and getting them going, you know what they say? I don't even know what the heck that is. I don't even know how to start doing that.
Yeah.
So there's the big deal right there. I mean, Dr. Siegel, you know as well as I do, I really don't believe that people really know what loving themselves even looks like or feels like, because where we were taught that we could do it when we were babies and we were spitting up and pooping into diapers, but when we started walking and talking, that was kind of pushed off to the side. And especially with women more than men, they're taught that suffering is part of their job, for the kids, for the family, for everything. And then they find out that they've never really thought about themselves, and that usually happens around the age of 40 or 50, right? Yeah.
I did it. I was married, I had two children, I had a full time practice, and there reached a point where I realized I was so depleted that there was literally nothing left in me. And I made choices, I got divorced. I'm not saying it's the right thing for everybody, but when I did that, I was able to start looking inside and start to take care of myself. And ladies, it may be as simple as getting your hair done organically. Make sure you do it organically. And it could be doing nails. You can do that organically as well. It may be just getting a facial. It may be taking a massage. It could be whatever it is that pampers you, but do that for you. And now, if you're still married and you have children, you still need to do it even more importantly for you, because when you empty your tank, there's nothing left. If you watch your animals, they take care of themselves. When they're hungry, they look for food. When they need to be groomed, they groom themselves. When they want attention, what do? They walk over to you, and there's a lot of dogs, they'll put their head right underneath your hand, but they know how to ask for what they want at the time that they want it and they need it. And hopefully we give it to them, but they know how to ask for that. We stuff ourselves, we don't honor our own selves. And when it's like the airplane thing, when you are out of oxygen, you're not good to anybody else. And there's a lot of women that are walking around right now that think that it's okay to be a martyr. It is not okay to be a martyr. You need to take care of you first, and then you have a lot more that you can share with the rest of the people around you that you love.
Absolutely. And when you said that they don't honor themselves, yeah, honor comes into there. Like, we need to honor, respect, but the reality is that they don't love themselves. Now, not that they don't want to love themselves, they don't even know how to get started because it wasn't built into the program. And
Right.
understand something, everyone. Filling up your own heart with love every day, okay, is going to ensure that you're not going to get pissed off at your kids or your husband or anybody else. Because as long as we make other people responsible for filling up a certain percentage of our heart, when they don't do it, we don't feel loved. And when we don't feel loved, then we have tantrums. We don't like kick on the floor, but we can say, somebody says, "What's wrong with you?" "Nothing's wrong with me. Nothing's wrong with me." And the thing is this is really, and this is the bottom line: you fill your own heart up completely. Then you're thankful. That's when you're thankful. And then you shine that light on your children to teach them that if they fill their heart up with love, then they're not going to be out there desperate looking for someone else to fill it up. Because trust me, when we're young, our parents will do it. They'll make us feel like it. And as we start walking and talking like them, we don't anymore. And then we want a new family, which is out there. And it's like, my girlfriend will love me more until I fight with her. And then it just keeps going on this cycle. We keep looking for somebody to fill up our tank. And then we run on empty all the time. That's why the heart is the recorder of all your emotions and all your love affairs. And that's why it's broken. That's why it's empty. That's why it's in pieces. Dr.
That
Siegel?
is so profound. It's so well said. But if you look at your animals, when your dog walks over to you and wants to be petted and you may be distracted or you kind of push them aside, they don't go back and lay down and go, "Oh, I'm not loved, so I can't love myself." They don't take it personal. They just wait and they'll come back again and they'll ask again. Wouldn't that be cool if we didn't take it personal and we were able to fill our own tanks, which is exactly what you said? There is nobody else responsible for you but you. And our animals exhibit that to us every day. So I think that's a really important point. Thank you for making that so well.
And you know what? We actually think that the dog loves us, okay? Now, I'm not saying that the dog doesn't love us, but I'm going to tell you that the dog loves itself completely, okay? Because it's instinctive. We're habitual. We're taught through habit to hate ourselves. And I mean hate. There's only love and there's only hate. You got to do one or the other. Everything else falls underneath that. Now, the dog totally loves itself. I'm telling you, it does. You know, we can beat a dog, but that's different. I mean, it just lives in fear and it just feels unworthy after a while. But the dog loves itself totally. The heart is so full with love that it shines that love on us. And guess what? The dog doesn't give you any love. The dog has such a high vibration of love, it triggers the love that's always been in you. It just knows how to trigger it. It's the same thing with that girlfriend or that boyfriend you met. You know, for the first 6 months or a year, you know what? You feel like, oh my gosh, I've never felt like this before. My heart is exploding. Well, all that love that you feel was already inside of you. They just had the frequency to trigger it. And then after about a year, maybe 6 months to a year, maybe 2 years, that's not happening in relationships anymore. Because guess what? They're
The honeymoon
not,
phase is over.
the honeymoon's over because guess what? They're busy with what? Kids or doing something else, and it's not all focused. Okay, I got to trigger him. I got to take my love frequency and trigger him to allow him to feel love for himself. We don't even know we're doing it, but that's what dogs are doing. They're not giving us any love. They're sharing the vibration of the love that they have for themselves already built in. And that's why dogs are your best friend, because they're teaching you that it's okay to unleash the love that's hidden inside of you that humankind has said, you bury that down, you stuff that down.
So, for those viewers that don't have a pet, you can do the same thing with nature. You can be a tree hugger. You can love on the plants that are outside. You can just be out in nature, and it's the same energy. It's this vibration of love that exists in nature, whether it's your pets or it's the environment around you. So don't feel like you have to have a dog or cat to have that. It's everywhere. I love the Gaylord Palms, the hotel, because they have all these plants inside the atrium. And every day when I'm in the hotel, I am literally touching the plants and just loving the energy of what they're putting into the building. It's so you can get that energy, you can entrain to it from anywhere that you're at if you're conscious of it, and you can fill your tanks. There's a lot of people that know that they need to fill their tank, but they think that it's okay to fill it from another human being. No, 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 no. You want to fill it from nature where it's an abundance. You don't want to be sucking somebody's energy and bringing them down. That's like an energy vampire. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And you keep on doing that, you're going to get one hell of a bill from that person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll tell you right now, number 7, Jump for Joy, really got a lot of attention here. Number 8, accept yourself.
Yeah. We kind of touched upon this already when we talked about the fact that animals don't take it personal when you don't reach down and pet them and you come home late and you're gone for a weekend and they have to go either to a boarding kennel or they have a pet sitter. They don't take it personal. They just accept themselves for who they are, living in the moment with their unconditional love. And we, on the other hand, we take everything personal like it's an assault on us. But when we do that, it's really because it's a lack of self acceptance. Back to what you said earlier, it's about relying on somebody else to make you feel a certain way instead of accepting yourself unconditionally. And that's actually accepting yourself is one of the 3 soul things that we come here to do. And self acceptance is one of those. And I would say that a majority of the people I work with when we're doing emotional clearing for the pet is working with the owner because they have lack of self-acceptance.
And you know what? Let's thank society and a few other systems. I won't get in for that because into it right now, but let's just understand something, everyone. There's no such thing as failure. And you're going to have to repeat something over and over and over again until you master it. And did you ever notice once you master something, then you go and you find something else that you can fail at? Because without failure, where's the adventure? Without failure, where's the challenge? And you know what? When
Yeah.
there's a bump in the road, it means slow down. When there's a quick right turn, it means you're going the wrong way. And you know what? This week alone, I guarantee you, I failed 100 times. And guess what? If you're willing to fail big, you're gonna win big, because that's how it is. Most people will get to the door of accepting themselves, and you're not going to accept yourself until you master it. So you better just be really patient about this, because the bigger the goal, the more you're going to have to practice. And repetition is the key on this planet. And once you repeat something enough, and you do it with passion, and you do it with purpose, and you know what? If you don't complete what you've started and you keep on getting disappointed in yourself, then you're never going to accept yourself, because there's an underlying program that you're just not enough.
Oh, absolutely. We didn't come here to play small, right? Would you play a puzzle that had three pieces? Nobody would want, no adult would do that. And most people love to play puzzles, but you want to play the ones that have a lot of parts to them that are challenging. And when you get done, you're really proud of the work that you did. And that's how life is for us. We tend to not want to express it that way, but in reality, we create everything that we experience. We create the challenges, we create the difficulties. And like you just said, Dr. Wolf, we create it so that we have that much more success when we overcome it. You feel that much more accomplished in your life when you have to achieve more because you place more challenges. And I think that's a lot to do with the extreme challenges that we're seeing in the world right now. It means that we can't sit back on our laurels and just say, oh, look, somebody else is going to fix it. Or look, there's a disaster going on here. Oh, wow. It means that we have to take responsibility and we have to come up with solutions. And I just have to point this out because I think it's so profound. When I started practicing veterinary medicine, some of our biggest challenges were flea bite dermatitis, so allergies where animals were itchy and they have skin lesions, vomiting, diarrhea from just typical stuff. And we rarely saw cancer. We didn't see a lot of obese animals. Nowadays, we have so many more challenging diseases, from all these chronic inflammatory diseases to cancers being some of the worst. And isn't it interesting that back when I started practicing 40 years ago, we didn't have the technology that we have now. So as our challenges have become bigger, so have the solutions to those challenges. Not that I created them, but I'm able to use them. So I think that really part of the game of life is that we create these challenges so that we get out of our lazy circle and we say, look, the world needs something that I have that I uniquely can produce because I have that unique talent. And so I need to get out there and use what I have to make the world a better place. And when you do that, it changes your entire perspective of what life is. It becomes so purposeful and so meaningful and so rewarding. So I think a lot of people just haven't really woken up to the challenge that they created a problem and it's up to them to create some solutions.
You're absolutely right. They did create the problem, but I just want to let everybody off the hook just a teeny bit, okay? And that is
No.
this: you need to accept yourself, but guess what? Do not trust out there. Do not trust out there. Healthcare is not healthcare, okay? It is the most dangerous and toxic thing that I've ever seen, what we call healthcare out there. I'm not saying that we should throw it all out. We need emergency care. But the reality is, it's not healthcare, it's crippling people. The food out there, 95% of it is toxic. Okay, the media continually lies to us. Okay, so you need to accept yourself, but do not trust anything outside yourself. And the thing is you gotta accept yourself, but understand something. Are you really yourself? Or are you someone else? Because all of those dysfunctional beliefs that you get from not every religion, but some religions, from schools, from systems, from mommy and daddy that were programmed. Are you really yourself? You won't know that you're yourself until you can look inside yourself and go, wow, it's not scary. This is a beautiful place. I'm a beautiful person.
Oh, I love that. I really hope we're touching people's hearts because it's touching mine.
All
All
right,
right,
so
the next one's one of my favorites. If you say the right one,
Okay, well now I feel stressed. Okay, that's all I needed. Okay, things were going good here. All right, so let's try to enjoy the journey. Okay, Marlene.
Oh, thank you very much. So I'm gonna kind of use my daughter as this one. My oldest daughter, love her so dearly. Her whole young life growing up, it was always about what was going to happen out there. When I won the horse show, when I got this, when I did that. And bless her heart, she could never live in the moment. She was a great manifester. So she would manifest what she wanted, but it was always out there, her happiness. And then what was ironic, not surprising, was she'd get there and then it was a big letdown because it really wasn't what was making her happy. It really wasn't the end all be all. It was just the end of that journey. And so it's taken a long time, but she has now learned that it's not the end that's important. It's the space between the beginning and the end. It's that journey in between. It's what's between the two dashes, as they say on your tombstone. And that journey is magnificent. So I encourage people who are still living in the past or still living in the future and they're really not in that moment is to realize that that's part of their journey and enjoy every moment of that journey, even the ouchy things, because in everything that we have is a blessing. Everything is a blessing. We just have to be able to see the blessing as that course correction, putting us where we need to be able to serve the world in a better way.
Absolutely. So yeah, so we're all going to have desires. So here's desire. All right.
Mhm.
We all
Yeah.
know with that desire, we want to have it. Okay. We want the outcome to turn out okay. But as Dr. Siegel said, it's actually living in the moment and rising to the occasion. So A is the desire, okay, and Z is the outcome, but everything in between is the adventure. And I understand something, everyone, but you got to get this. You said that you could come down here to this planet, which is planet Earth, right? It's a life-threatening, fun-filled adventure for the whole family, and it doesn't seem like anybody can get out of here alive. But the reality is that when we come down here, you said that you could do it. You could come down and master your emotions, and that you knew that you were created by your creator to come down here and continually create. So you got to watch out what you think, and you got to put a smile on your face, and you got to have that positive attitude because you are a magnet. And when you take a look at the journey and the journey's really rough, just remember something. It's the pavement that you're laying down in front of you that's causing the trouble. And it's called your mind. It's a landmine. So the bombs are going to be going off all the way. And if you can stay connected to your breath and realize that you came down here to create and that there's only one person doing it and that's you. And wherever your focus goes, your body's going to go. And everything else is going to go with it. Right, Dr. Siegel?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. What a great lesson to have that when you take your dog on a trip, they just have a good time. They're in the moment, enjoying it, and that's all it is to them.
Are we
They
there yet? Are we there yet?
are we there
Are we there
yet?
yet? Are we there yet?
We've all had kids, and instead of enjoying the journey, getting there, it's all about are we there yet?
Yeah, we used to look for the purple cow.
Okay.
Yeah.
We sang songs, we did poetry, we learned how to map. Because I homeschooled when we were driving places, and we really had the luxury of going in a beautiful motorhome, so it wasn't really like the average trip, and we
Yeah.
just really enjoyed the journey. And some of the best stories that we have are the flat tires, the getting lost, the getting stuck, the locking the keys inside the motorhome and having to push one of the kids through the window. And those were the journey. That's what made it so fun.
So where are you now with your journey, Dr. Siegel? Like if something really dramatic happened, what would your reaction be? Would you stay connected to your breath? Would you understand that you can't control everything? Or if somebody passed away in your family, would that end your journey? Would you get cancer over it? Would you vomit over it? Would you get an upset stomach? Would you get a migraine headache? Or would you love yourself enough to stay connected to the journey, put a slight smile on your face, and not react and only take the action that would help other people not go in and destroy themselves? Where would you be?
You know, you can't really say what you would do until you're in the moment. But I would hope that even if I allowed myself to feel a pain in the moment, that I would still be able to pull myself together and realize that one, we're eternal beings, and two, that whatever it is I'm experiencing is for my highest and best good. And at some point, be able to move forward with that love and compassion for myself and for the situation. And I hope that I could do that. I'd prefer not to have to endure horrible stresses, but it is what it is. And so I know I would pull myself out because I have been through hard times and tragic times. And I know that when I've come out the other side, I've been a healthier person. I've been a more inspirational person. And I've always, always, always found the blessing in the situation. Always. So
So
I hope I would always continue that.
so here it is. Your beliefs, which you got from your family, mostly, your
I,
beliefs are going to
I get those.
shape. They're going to. Your beliefs are going to shape your reality, and it's going to. Your beliefs are also going to decide how long you're going to suffer. We could have 10 people with the same condition, okay, and they'll all have different outcomes. Some will go on and suffer forever. Some will turn to drugs, alcohol. Some will go on prescription drugs for depression and inflammatories. And some will say, what can I do to make it better? And how can I stay connected to this body and not tear it apart?
A lot of people use the expression from pain to purpose. And we can see so many examples in the world where people have undergone horrific experiences. And that's what they chose to do rather than implode and wither away. They chose to take that pain and turn it into a purpose. And there's so many magnificent things out in the world today of helping others where people have been able to do that. They have that strength and energy to turn it into something purposeful. So I admire that.
So if your journey has a landmine go off, the reality is the best way to get out of there is give of yourself, and then you'll get yourself out of that mess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that may be part of the reason why you came to experience this is to is to do that, is to really learn what does that mean to give yourself unconditionally and to serve at the highest level, above and beyond your own wants and desires, and really serve what the world needs that you can provide. And it's just that spark that made it come out.
Yeah, and understand everyone that every emotion deserves attention. And, whether it's sadness or grieving, it's just as important to us in our growth as happiness and joy. So we're not saying push it away. Feel it, feel what it feels to be there, but just make sure that it doesn't become part of you. Decide what emotion is going to create that life that you want and be selfish enough to know what your needs are to stay healthy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The last point in all of this one, as we talk about enjoying the journey, is that this is so big, is we get so attached to the outcome that we set ourselves up for failure. So what you think is your journey may really have quite a different turn in the end, usually for the better, because we can't see the whole 360 picture. We can only see that little linear piece that we are able to focus in on. But what if it was much better than that? So when I manifest and when I pray, I always say, this or more, this or better, because I don't want to limit myself or pigeonhole myself into just what I can conceive, because what actually can happen is so much bigger. Like meeting the chef, I would not only was it everything I wanted, but it was more because this guy is into growing food as well. So we're going to be doing herb gardening in the event center and actually growing our own herbs. Wow, that was exceeding my expectations, uh, to have it all in the same person. So we don't want to limit what your journey is, and don't be attached to the outcome because that outcome may be better than what you could ever have imagined. But at least you set out on the road to get there. Where it ends up it's usually going to be for your highest and best good, as long as you're there enjoying the journey and you're present and you're conscious and you're participating and you're in the moment and you're having gratitude while you're doing it and you're being aware.
Absolutely. And if none of that works, drink lots of water. So that's the next one, everyone, is drink lots of water. All right.
Drink lots of healthy, clean water. You know, cats, a lot of people don't realize this, but if you have a cat and pay attention, they always come when there's running water. When you turn the sink on, when the toilet flushes, when you're brushing your teeth and the water is running, when you're doing dishes. And a lot of people are aware of the fact that they like water towers. Like cats will drink more from a water tower than they will from a bowl. And the reason is that they instinctually know, as a desert creature, that running water is healthy water.
It's
So
structured.
they'll take,
It's more
yeah,
structured.
it's absolutely.
Yeah.
And so they'll take their foot in it and they'll play with it. They're moving it to go, oh, is this running water? Is this moving water? Because stagnant water is not going to be healthy. We want high moving, structured, filtered, clean water. So that's a really interesting, unique fact about cats and why they're looking for that water movement. Dogs, same, they don't necessarily look for running water, but they drink when they're thirsty. They look for water. We have a tendency to drink so many other things that can be dehydrating, that can be acidifying. And so many people don't drink enough water. They literally just don't drink water. So if you don't like the taste of water, here's some things you can do. I grow stevia and I grow mint. You can always buy it if you don't grow it, but you can put slices of different fruit in your water. You can put stevia, little leaves of stevia in there. You can put mint in there, cucumber. There's so many things you could do to flavor your water naturally. And of course, Dr. Wolfe and I are passionate about structured water, prefer hydrogen water, and just making sure that it doesn't have all the 65,000 toxins that are in tap water. Please don't drink tap water and don't drink water out of plastic bottles and don't give that to your pets either. Now, a lot of people think that drinking filtered water out of the refrigerator is the end all be all. Oh, well, it's filtered. You have no idea what's being filtered out of that refrigerator water. It's basically the iron and the taste, but it's not taking out heavy metals. It's not taking out glyphosate. It's not taking out fluoride. So if you have another big takeaway from this particular episode that we're doing, it's to make sure that you're drinking healthy, clean, structured water. And I think Dr. Wolfe has a lot of episodes out there. I have stuff on my website and blogs talking about it, but make it a must on your list to make sure that your pet and you are drinking lots of healthy, clean water.
Absolutely. And everybody out there, check out this. Check out our super cinnamon, our lemon lift, and our orange burst. You can add that to drinking water, and it's really great. Like the cinnamon will
That's
help to balance your blood sugar levels, right? And then the lemon will help to bring the enzymes up in your digestive tract. And then the orange burst will do similar things, but it's very high in the vitamin C.
I like starting my morning using magnesium powder and apple cider vinegar in my water. And I'll down 8 to 16 ounces of that literally when I'm up in my first 30 minutes. Just really start hydrating my body. And if I wake up during the night, I'll drink a good 4 to 8 ounces as well. It's always about staying hydrated. If you wait to drink until you're thirsty, you're already dehydrated. So you need to be conscious of sipping water all day long. I like taking glass bottles. Sometimes I'll take my kombucha bottles and I'll just repurpose them. I have some other bottles that have gemstones in them. So whatever I'm using, of course, it's a good healthy bottle. And then I fill my water and I just constantly sip all day long. I will drink teas and I will have some bio coffee. So I'll drink other things during the day as well. But the majority of what I drink is going to be water.
Absolutely. The first thing I do in the morning when I get up, I drink a quart and a half of water, structured water with tummy love and fulvic in it. And because you want to get in there first thing in the morning and you want to chelate and you want to deliver any of the nutrition that's in your body because you've been laying around all night. So you want to go
Yeah.
in there and chelate and get things moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My second drink is usually it's a charcoal binder with aloe in it, and same thing. I'll do a liver flush, and
Yeah.
then I'll drink 8 to 16 ounces of a charcoal, which is water with the charcoal mixed in it, and that's just an amazing flush, and my body just feels so vibrant afterwards.
Beautiful. All right, so now 11, be loyal and dependable.
Be loyal and dependable. We live in a world where the minute somebody is unhappy with us or we're unhappy with them, we just end the relationship. You just cut your ties. And if you look at your dogs, no matter pretty much no matter what you do to them, they are loyal to you. They might want to run around the neighborhood, but if they get out, but they really are loyal to you. They're happy to see you. They follow you. They don't give you up just because somebody else gave them a treat, and so now they're going to put their loyalty towards somebody else. They are loyal, and we can always depend on them to always love us. That's an amazing trait because so many people today, they don't feel like they have anybody they can depend on. Yeah, we have friends, we have the family members, but when you are down and you really need help, how many people can you call upon that will be there like that? Like, don't ask any questions, they'll just show up and they're there for you. Not very many. So, loyal and dependable. If you want that in return, you need to be that. And when you are that, then you start attracting those other people into your life that have the same mindset. How
Absolutely.
about,
And
how
if
about
and,
you?
and if I can say this, until you're loyal and dependable to yourself and you're going to show up for yourself, you're never going to do it for anyone else. And if you don't
Yeah,
like the friends that are around you, it's because you're not loyal and dependable to yourself and you're attracting the same thing. When you are
absolutely.
loyal and dependable to yourself, then you will not have anybody else abusing you. So if you do have people in your life that you feel that are not loyal and dependable to you, you're just getting what you are already. And I've found that so often. So understand something. It's always going to come back to self care. It's always going to come back inside before outside. And I think that this whole loyal and dependable thing is when you say something, right? You're going to honor yourself and you're going to make sure that, again, we're back to the subconscious beliefs. Some people can't be loyal or dependable because of the belief systems they run. So you're going to have to do your homework, and that's going to have to come with the very next one, which is love unconditionally.
Yeah, you've been in my office before, so we have these painted on rocks on our floor, and
Yep,
they have sayings. And one of the sayings on the floor is, "Do the right thing because it's the right thing to do." So when we talk about whether it's your job or whether it's your relationships, so many people just they don't really they're not loyal to themselves. They don't do things because it's the right thing to do. They're doing things because somebody's going to see them or somebody's going to reward them. The reward comes from inside yourself. The feeling that when I did what I did because it was the right thing to do, not because somebody was going to pay me or somebody was going to recognize me or I was going to gain something from it. No, you do it because it's the right thing to do. And it seems like a lot of young people have lost that. We had a mastermind a couple nights ago in our holistic Chamber of Commerce meeting, and the number one problem that all business owners had across the board, no matter what their business was finding good employees. And that was because the people that they're hiring didn't have that sense of loyalty and commitment and dependability. Like they don't have that feeling. I don't know if it's just a generation thing, but nowadays they say that the average person is going to change jobs anywhere from 4 to 14 times in their working career. Can you imagine having 14 jobs? I wouldn't even hire somebody like that. Maybe I'm old school, but I want somebody who's going to be there and be loyal and be dependable. And we have the same mindset and mission, and we have the same heart set and purpose. And so we're out looking for other doctors and we're looking for great staff members. If anybody's listening, please send an application. If that falls into your wheelhouse, I think it's really important. And when you're letting somebody down, you're really letting yourself down.
that's absolutely right. And you know what? Um, I wish it was real simple, but the reality is that we come in like we've already talked about, love unconditionally. I don't
Yeah.
know. Most people don't even know what that is because when we come here, we are loved unconditionally by our parents, And like I said earlier, then we start getting conditions when we start to walk and talk. They give us conditions that if you do this, you'll get this from me. And then we finally realize and we get taught, well, we don't realize, but we get taught on a subconscious level that we create all kinds of conditions for ourselves, and we don't love ourselves unless this goes right or this falls into place. And I really believe that I believe that people have been really sucker punched, and I think that Dr. Siegel, this generation, I have a lot of this generation working for me, and they come and they go, and they are so lost. They don't know what unconditional love is for themselves. They feel so heavily judged, and it's so competitive out there. It's made to seem so competitive that they just don't measure up. They're not pretty enough. They're not smart enough, and you're not good enough. And then we have all this extra stuff. Everything is overdone now. I remember when I was a teenager. I did drugs, but I never did drugs like they do now. Now you go to a 5-day rave and you're totally stoned for 5 days, right?
Wow.
So, you're going to lose yourself. And you know what? I mean, look at it this way. In high school right now, 80% of high school students, okay, are toking and vaping. Okay, so everything's an escapism because we just can't deal with the reality of who we are. So I really
Yeah.
don't know. I think love unconditionally. I think that it's got to start with the self, and if it doesn't start with the self, and you don't let yourself off the hook and love yourself, then you're just going to become a speaker of what you are. It's just going to be blasting out to everyone else, anyways.
Absolutely. I have a little exercise that I love doing. When you're driving in the car, there's a visor and you have a little mirror there. You only do this when you're at a traffic light. But when you stop at a traffic light, you put the visor down, and if you set it right, you can just look to where all you see are your eyes. And you got to try this, guys. You look at your eyes and you look into your eyes and you say, I love you. And you smile and you're looking at your soul and you're saying it with such intensity and with such love and with such truth, and really believe it. In the beginning, if you're having a hard time, just know that that means that there's some stuff there that you need to uncover and get rid of, and limiting beliefs that are blocking you. We'll have an expo coming up next year that will be a whole expo just on that. Or go to one of the Dr. Wolfe's classes because that's what they teach. And there's a lot of different people out there that have great programs to teach you how to do that. But you got to start with number one, recognizing when you don't have it. So if you take that mirror down and you look in your eyes and you can't say, I love you and really mean it, you got a problem. Another thing that we did a parenting class. I used to teach parenting classes, and we had an exercise where everybody would go around and say one thing that they loved or admired. If you were in a group of strangers, one thing you loved or admired about each person that was in the room. It was brief, 30 seconds. You just, one or 2 points. And at the end, you have to say something that you love or admire about yourself. And it was astounding how many people could not say something nice about themselves. That's another big flag for you. If you go around and you can't say something nice about yourself, something that you admire about yourself, then there's a problem there. And it's a big deal for a lot of people. And then imagine what you're teaching your children. So I would do this with my girls every night. We would get into bed and we would say one thing that we love or admired about the other person. And then we always talked about ourselves. And it's not about what you look like, it's about who you are, it's your character traits. So when my older daughter started cooking, we would say, what I admire about you is your creativity when you're cooking, her a willingness to go off the recipe and make something new. You're looking at the character traits that make somebody who they are, and identifying those, and identify them in yourself. It could be something like you have energy, you're kind, you have compassion, you have love to give, whatever that is. Just start recognizing and valuing your special gifts and let other people know that you see that. And then when they say something nice to you, the average person who doesn't have very good self-esteem is going to, they're going to dismiss it. They're going to say something that is demeaning in response to that. And here's what you're supposed to do: simply say thank you. Thank you. That's all. You just say thank you and you accept it. And over time, you realize that's how people see you. And you can start seeing yourself in the eyes of others who care about you and admire you.
Beautiful. Number
Yeah.
13, give
Oh,
without expecting anything in return.
yeah. I love that because we're a very conditional world. We talked about being conditional around other people and conditional about how we care for others. And our dogs, they just give. They give their love and they're not expecting anything. They don't expect you to give them a treat just because they came over and they wagged their tail or they laid down next to you. They don't love you for what you're going to give them. They love you because they just love you and there's nothing that you have to give in return. It makes you feel good when you love them back, but that's what you choose to do. They are giving you unconditional without expecting anything in return. And Dr. Wolf, do you know what the greatest blessing, mitzvah, kindness, gift that you could give any other um, living being, whether it's a dog, a cat, a horse, a person? Do you know what the greatest gift you can give?
No, tell me.
Helping them to transition when it's their time. And do you know why?
Tell me.
It's the only time that you give somebody something and they could never pay you back. It's the only time that we do something totally selfless. So when you help somebody transition, you hold their hand, you do kind things for them, you help put their mind at peace, whatever that looks like. If it's putting a pet to sleep and it's their time and you can help them transition that phase more peacefully, it's because they can't pay you back. You know you're not going to get anything in return. You're just doing it out of that unconditional love. It's pretty cool.
Beautiful. Beautiful,
Yeah.
Dr. Siegel. Number 14, be real, be you, without a facade or pretense or an agenda.
So dogs are who they are. If they are happy, you're going to see they're happy. If they're not happy with you or they're feeling territorial, they're going to show you exactly who they are. There's no game involved. They're not going to lay there and wait and then intentionally be Hyde and Jekyll. They are who they are. And you can recognize who they are by just observing them. They're very clear as to what their personality is. And they don't change. Now, we're not talking about the dog who's fearful because it's been in a bad situation. And then once it's loved, it goes back to being a confident animal again. We're talking about the on the human side, the people who appear to be one way, and then behind your back, they're talking about you or they're doing things that aren't appropriate. It's that lying and cheating and just not being authentically who you are. For me, if you can't say what you need to say in front of somebody, don't say it. If you can't behave in a way in front of somebody that you are going to wait and do it behind their back, don't do it. It's that simple. You just need to be authentically you. And if that means that you are being disrespectful, then that's a problem you have. That's not the other person's problem, that's your problem. You want to be the authentic person and show up so that people, when they see you in public and they see you in private, you're the same individual. That's an interesting thing that we talked about in our business workshops was that a lot of times there's a facade about somebody on the business side. They make you Facebook. That's a great example. Everybody is that perfect person on Facebook and they have that perfect life, but it's not true. In reality, they have the same hardships that we all have, and they have the same struggles that we all have, and they have the same lonelinesses that everybody has. So we want to help everybody to be really authentic. Who are you? And if you can't present the real you, then you have to stop and ask yourself why.
I totally agree, but on another note, I think that people become everyone else and everything else because they want to have approval. I think that we don't get approval when we're teenagers or even young children. We lose that. of that along the way, and then we become everyone else and everything else, and we don't even know who we are. And I really believe that if people don't do courses like my whole life coach certification, and this is not a promo for me, or even something like our Braveheart course, which I just want to say something to everybody out there. Understand something. Your dysfunctional beliefs, they hold you back, and they're not even yours. They're just in your brain. They're in your mind. You know, you've got your brain, and then you've got your mind, and then you've got your body. And the thing is that if we don't master our mind and those beliefs in there, then I don't know if we can ever even find what authentic is unless we truly struggle and we get ourselves into a lot of trouble. So the first thing, everybody, I think you need to do is wake up and know that you need to understand how the subconscious mind works. And then you need to find every belief that you can create yourself that's dipped in self-love, and then make that the prominent belief. And then you'll find your authentic self. So this is not a pitch, but if you go to braveheartfree.com, I'm giving my Braveheart course away until the new year. At least get started to get to know that authentic you, because Dr. Siegel's right. You've got to find the authentic you, or else you're not going to live your passion, your purpose. And the reason why you came down here was for the adventure of a lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So be clear on your boundaries.
Yeah. Well, I think we really gave people a lot of content from the dog perspective about how to make friends, how to love yourself, how to be unconditional, how to be in the moment, how to enjoy the journey. Put your head out the window and just be happy that you're going somewhere. Doesn't matter where you're going, just be happy that you're going somewhere. And when you get there, be in the moment when you get there.
And should my tongue hang out too?
It should what?
Should I hang my tongue out too? I just want to know.
And jump up and down and wag your tail and
Yeah.
do circles and
Yeah.
oh yeah, dance that baby out. Absolutely.
All right.
Have just utter joy for just the moment.
Beautiful. Isn't she amazing, everybody? Come on, okay?
And I learned it all from the dogs.
Yeah.
And the claws.
There
and the
you
fur,
go.
The feathers.
So listen, before we wrap the show up, though, I want you to tell everybody where they can find out the ingredients and all that beautiful food that you make for these furry little animals. All right?
Oh, thank you for wrapping around to that. So our website is evoloveRaw.com, and everything you need to know is there. And Evo Love is actually love spelled forwards and backwards. So a lot of sacred geometry came into that name, and it was really a divine inspiration to name it that. So it's evoloveRaw.com. And we have some amazing things in 2020 that are coming up that we'll talk about next year. Some amazing adventures and business opportunities and products and just some things that will really change the world to be a better place.
Beautiful. So everybody, I will be having Dr. Siegel back in the new year, and we'll let you know when we'll be doing the show. And is there anything else that you would like to share, like things that are upcoming, or just something you would like to leave people with for this Christmas season?
Yeah. Have Christmas every day. Don't wait for a holiday season to do kind things for people and to be a giving spirit. Be that Christmas spirit in your heart every day. Every day, look for an opportunity to do something that somebody needs, a kindness, whether it's a kind word or opening a door or a gift to somebody that is in need, something that they will appreciate. And live your life like that. Live your life every day with intention and gratitude and joy, and be in the moment and jump up and down when you're happy and be unconditional and don't hold grudges. All the things that we talked about, be that every day and let your life expand into the most amazing life you can ever imagine and more.
Beautiful. Thank you for joining me today, Dr. Marlene Siegel, out of Florida, Tampa, Florida, everybody. And so make sure that if you're in the area and you've got a pet, definitely go and see her. But check her website out and get some of her food for your pet because your pet deserves the best. And
Yeah, we ship to your
that's
door.
that.
Yeah, we ship, it's all shipped online right to your door. So you don't have to be in Florida. And I think by next year, we're going to be doing a lot more freeze drying. I do freeze drying now for my local customers, and I do consultations for people all over the world as well.
All right. Thank you very much. And
Thank you, everybody.
so, everybody, make sure that you watch The Holy Grail of Healing. Okay. This is a 3.5 hour video that I put together. And the Holy Grail of Healing is pelvic abdominal restoration. Now, understand something. Your pelvis and your abdominal region is the most important part of your body. And it is also the part of your body that is getting most attacked. If you take a look at the average person today, when we know that 80% of the population is overweight, 60% is obese, and if you take a look at their abdomen, the more it sticks out, the more it hangs down, the more their immune system is in trouble. And the more that the abdomen is lacking tone, the more toxic waste is in your pelvis. This is why that over the next, are you ready for this? Over the next 5 to 10 years, they're saying that prostate cancer will become number one, and it will be 400% worse minimum in the next 5 years. Now, this is because we have lost discipline. We do not look at nature's foods anymore. We are totally commercial. We overeat. We eat toxic products. We're actually rotting and putrefying in our large intestine, which is leaking out waste, okay, and going into our pelvis. And believe it or not, ladies, for you, just understand something, and I will be proving this, that most breast cancers, I mean, we're not talking about root canals now, but most breast cancers are triggered by your ovaries being in trouble. They ring off, and then the alarm system goes off into the breast because it's all hormonal. So whether you're talking about endometriosis, whether you're talking about bladder infection, whether you're talking about ovarian cysts, whether you're talking about having to get mesh because your uterus, okay, is falling down or out. All of these things, whether men or women, you're going to want to watch the Holy Grail of Healing, okay? So it's going to be released on Saturday, December the 21st at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. After this, we have a special preview coming out. I've been working on this for over a year. It is a masterclass that we created, and it's 40 videos. And in this 40 videos, we take a look at all the conditions of the human body and what the medical system does and what we do and how to take your power back and to let you understand something that you have forgotten, that you were created by God, and the body will heal itself when you put it under the right conditions and you stop it unconsciously attacking yourself. And these videos are going to be up, and they're going to come up on New Year's Eve. And for 1 week, you'll get this masterclass free. Once you sign up, you'll have it. And then I'll be adding more things to it. Like I have another part coming that's called I Am Woman. I have another part coming to show that you will always have inflammation in your brain before you'll have a disease or anything else in the body anywhere else. Understand something. It's high time that you understand that you must come from patient to practitioner, meaning looking after your own body. And then from being a practitioner, you can become a doctor. And doctor means, if you look it up, that you teach. And if you're not willing to learn what you need to learn to become a practitioner, to become a doctor, to teach your family how to take their life back, you haven't seen anything yet. Okay? Far as I'm concerned, the year 2020 is called the Great Harvest. Between Wi-Fi, between 5G, between GMOs, and between healthcare that isn't healthcare, it's terrorism. We're in big trouble. And that's why I put these videos together. And there's going to be a lot more coming your way this year. We're going to be doing a lot of free trainings. We're going to teach you how to take it back and understand there's a genius in everyone. There's a practitioner in everyone. All right? So claim your God-given right. I want to thank again Dr. Marlene Siegel, who is leading the way, not just with pet health throughout North America and the world, but as we've seen today, that she has a pulse on humankind, okay? And she is a true human being, all right? So join us with her. We'll be back with her in the new year. God bless everyone. And just understand something. This is your show. And listen to me. You question me, you question everyone, because you matter. God bless.
Love you all. Bye.
Bye. If you're looking for life-saving and life-changing information, well, you've come to the right place. Don't forget to click and subscribe. Stay connected.